Hey guys, what's up? I probably just clipped the whole recording with that. That was kind of loud. Hey guys, what's up? It's coming back to ya with another episode of Car Rides with Schla. And today, I guess the day was okay. Again, all the long days are done, so it's only the super easy short days left, and there's really not much to complain about. You know, it's just like, whatever. Yeah, the rest of the week is relatively easy. It's not difficult at all for me to do the other days, so guess we're just trying to keep our heads up, focus on the good in life, all that good stuff. And yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I guess I was thinking a lot today, thinking just about different things that are interesting. Was always told I'd be good as a lawyer, and I never really thought too much about it, but I probably would make a pretty good lawyer just based on how I operate, very like evidence oriented and very objective oriented. I didn't really think about it too much before, but even, in the context of like these kind of conversations, they are very law oriented, you know? So I've always kind of had that, and I don't know, it's a shame that I never really got into it. I don't know that it's like a perfect match for me. I still kind of think that like podcaster is just about perfect for me. So it's kind of hard to put a finger on it, but in terms of like a more serious career, if I was ever like more of a serious person, I think it's completely possible. And basically what I'm outlining is a defense attorney, a defense lawyer, because really I think that's where more of the goofier side of me would be able to shine. And I mean, I say goofier, but that's kind of putting it in a goofy way. As you can imagine, the reason why people don't want to be defense lawyers is because it's kind of sketchy sometimes. Sometimes you're arguing for people that really don't deserve to be given justice. But I think if anybody was like meant for that, it's probably me. Really looking at situations and trying to see, the different perspectives of things, and just being able to use my words in ways to, make sense of things. I mean, justice and ethics and morals are very like, they're things that require careful consideration, you know. And I just think this is, in a sense, just a potential thing for me. Now, again, I don't really know that I'm, at least not yet. Like, I'm not, obviously, you have no idea where life's going to take you, but I guess I'm just deciding to mention it because it was something I was thinking about today. And then it would be really funny if in like 20 years I end up actually becoming a lawyer and getting really into it, because then it would just be like, then of course it would set me up for my political aspirations too. I mean, those kind of go hand in hand. I believe, again, I was always told as a child that I should look into being a lawyer. It is something a lot of people told me, but again, I really think it's important to preface like a defense lawyer. Like I don't know that the prosecution is necessary. I mean, maybe, but I've just noticed it, and it's something I've thought about because I obviously mention it a lot on here. Like, anybody I've ever talked to, it feels like they're less informed and they're kind of like less logical. And I know that sounds arrogant, but most of the time it's either admitted or like it's not admitted, but it's really obvious. Like people get really upset when I provide evidence, and when you're a lawyer, that's the whole game. Like the whole nobody cares about opinions, you know? It's like the law is the law, and if you're in a courtroom, you're adhering to evidence, and there's just, there's a lot to it, but it's a lot of the same kind of frameworks that I have established. So it's an interesting like potential thing for me. I just, again, I've kind of been really hindered from it due to my like, like I don't like tests, I don't really like writing things, and that is necessary to being a lawyer. So I would have to master that, like I would have to be able to be interested in writing. And I mean, it's entirely possible I wouldn't follow a script once I was speaking, but I mean, maybe I would have to. Again, I don't really know much about these things, but yeah, I mean, a lot of these kind of things, I think, like, oh man, I'm just like thinking about it, and I don't know why I haven't thought of it sooner, because I have such a hunger for like justice and evidence and objectivity, and like a courtroom, that's like that's kind of there, it is like pretty much that's where all that stuff goes. I just personally think that my life path is much weirder. Like that's kind of my like vibe. I feel like is it's like I don't think my life is really meant to just like, oh, you're just going to go to law school and then become a lawyer. That is not what I think. I don't think that. So I wouldn't rate my confidence of this right now as very high, because again, I would have to greatly improve my um like writing skills and stuff, and I'd obviously have to go to school for a very long time. It's probably very expensive, a lot of pressure. I don't know that it's going to happen, but I just think it's interesting to think about, because it's like, yeah, I mean, it would be cool. It's just a shame, again, things didn't register sooner. Like I should have been on the mock trial team at my school, or like, done a lot of this stuff sooner. I don't really know what was wrong with me, like I was explaining, like well, no, I'm not explaining. I've said it before on the show that really what I ended up doing during my teenage years was a lot of stuff pertaining to like a lot of things pertaining to I was just really sick of the world, and so I thought the world was so evil, like I just wanted to be able to ascend out of it, you know? And so I spent so much time trying to study like spirituality, and then really just wanting to escape, period. It was intense, it was harsh, you know? It was very rough for me. And so that really was a huge waste of time, because then eventually I've kind of saw that I actually like the world. And I mean, like I don't know, to through one reason or another, it's like I basically thought I was afraid of like the future. I was very like obsessive about, I think I've explained this before, like resisting technology, resisting digital like things. I had all my money pretty much in paper cash, or like at least most of my money was in paper cash. Like I was doing all these things, and I was originally gonna do that. Like I'm not even joking. Like, basically, just a little over 2 years ago, my like intention was to have a ton of money in paper cash. That was like my intention, and like not using like just using cash. This was like my whole thing just a little over 2 years ago. So a lot has changed like so fast in terms of my mindset and how I see the world. Now it's like I basically try to do everything on a credit card because that gives me more joy. Like now I actually love that it's tracked. I love it. I don't want to buy something in cash because then it's like it's not getting reported. It's not tracked. I actually like, to me, this is something I've actually brought up before on this show. I almost don't like calling as much as I used to because when you call somebody, it's lost. But texting is very permanent, of course, unless things get deleted. But it's relatively permanent in comparison to a call. And then obviously the nature of this content, it's permanent. So for me to like talk and it not be recording, it's kind of frustrating because it's like it's lost afterwards. There's not, so it's almost, there's more of an addictive property to it now. And so I love credit now. I mean, I think I would actually kind of hate living in a time where things weren't tracked like that. And so this original fear and skepticism has just completely flipped. Began just in 2 years, and now I'm probably like the most pro surveillance of anybody I know. I mean, everybody hates the idea of like more surveillance, but I think it has a ton of potential to improve people's lives. It just, again, would have to be like open source, and I do think it's like more likely that corporations are just going to seize control over it. But, you know, I guess I'm talking about idealistically because I can agree with people that there's still a reason to have skepticism, but I don't think in theory there should be skepticism. That's kind of where I'm at. Like I don't believe that in theory there should be as much skepticism as there is. I just think people are afraid of like what it would entail and how it would fundamentally shift humans, how we live, how we interpret reality, all that stuff. But I guess what I feel like doing now is I feel like outlining that transition. So, you know, I want to say 2024, things went by like. I want to say 2024 really was not all that eventful. Like it just wasn't. 2024 for me, it was it was like rough, but it was like there really wasn't too much going on. I feel like the main kind of thing that I kept thinking about then was still like the last hurrah of what I was thinking, which is an obsession with the past, and I think a clear obsession with the past, a clear knowledge that the past was better. When I was a child, I mean, there were so many things. I remember Toys R Us. I remember Target and how the stores used to be. And the things that are being made nowadays are much more streamlined. They're not as interesting. They're not as experimental. Things have basically lost a lot of their unique character. At least products have lost their unique character, if that makes sense. And really the reasoning for that, I think, is due to like, I guess, economic streamlining. It's just you see this all over the place. I don't really have to prove it because it's so obvious. Like if you look at car models especially, there just used to be so many different models and sizes and shapes and designs and even brands. And nowadays, a lot of that has needed to be streamlined. And so, in the same sense, like I remember the 2000s and the 2010s, there were all these weird, kind of quirky, free online games. I mean, you had like Club Penguin, Wizard 101 still around, but that was obviously birthed, I believe, in the 2000s. And there's like a myriad of other games. I just Pop Tropica. I mean, so many really unique experiences. The Wii, the DS, very innovative ways to play video games and do things. I mean, I still feel like the 2000s were a pinnacle. You know, they really were. And then the 2010s was when things got modernized to the point where things started to, again, just, it's like you start to play like a numbers game where now it's just all about money and streamlining things. And then that's kind of what we're living now, where it's like there's not all these little fun games anymore. It's like every game is serious. I mean, like the most popular games are, they're either competitive or they're like gambling, and it's very like addictive and it's very crazy. It's not like how it was back then at all. Although I guess Wizard 101 had those elements, and I mean maybe Club Penguin to some extent, but I can't see how you would have spent that much money on Club Penguin compared to like a lot of modern games. Are they're not manufactured to be good experiences. They're manufactured to be addicting, you know? And it's gotten to the point where there's no character left in the games. It's just pure addiction. So regardless, I was really obsessed with a time machine in 2024. For me, that kind of feels like the main takeaway of 2024 was an obsession with a time machine. That was it. That was 2024, and that was it. I really wanted a time machine, and because I just hated what was happening. I mean, I saw it all around me. Things were and are just materially getting less fun, less interesting. Things are getting very serious. And at the time, I was very upset, and so that was like the bulk of what I had to say. Um, and so yeah, it's like, in addition, I think at the time I was very like upset. I was upset about stuff and trying to think. So around, because I've always been into technology. That's been the thing. Like, despite me not liking technology, like I always just had to support it because like I just loved computers and phones. I mean, I would just keep buying them. You know what I mean? Like I probably love technology like literally more than anybody I know. I don't even know anybody who loves like the hardware of technology. Now, software I'm not as into, but they sort of go hand in hand. But anyways, I mean, so obsessed with like I could buy so many computers and phones, and I have really, especially compared to most people. So, you know, that's like, I don't know, that's noteworthy in the first place. Even when I hated a lot of this future stuff, like I was just always so infatuated by tech. Like that's just always been the case. And so what ended up happening is my new belief, and this is kind of where you see a transition, was like I was thinking about how at some point we could create technology that's powerful enough, like computers and all that, to be able to simulate to be able to simulate computers and stuff that, you know, are powerful enough to simulate going back in time. And so I could relive certain time periods. But the problem with that is that not everything was recorded. So like my memories and the stores that I would want to revisit, like they wouldn't be able to be revisited most likely unless the brain is powerful enough to where like at some point we can chip a brain and like somehow retrieve like images and video from when we were 4 years old. Like somehow, what if that's, I mean, maybe that would be possible. I don't, maybe it depends on the person and how good their brain is. I mean, I seem kind of doubtful about that. But, you know, that's just kind of my thought was like, you know, if I had recorded everything, then we would still have it. So there's basically a lot of lost time. Whereas nowadays, I mean, you could record like everything you do and relive all the good moments and bad moments. I mean, you know, you probably wouldn't want to relive the bad moments, although I guess that would be kind of cool. Like, obviously, I would want to do that. I think that would be so cool, but like, it wasn't documented, it wasn't recorded. And that's why, like, I've always had this obsession with recording. I talked about it. Like, I recently mentioned how I had these fantasies and thoughts about, like, just recording constantly in school and how maybe, you know, with the camera on, I would become this different person. And then, you know, I've obviously thought about, like, immediately when live streaming came out, like, okay, what if I just live stream 24/7? I've always been obsessed with it. And then this was like a further extension of that. Like, I wish I had recorded more. I wish I would have you know. And then but that's what that transition was. So the transition became that, and I remember when I said this in I want to say like June of 2024. I was like, you know, we can't go backwards. And so the present is disappointing. And so the only thing I can hope for is the future. Like, even though the future seems bleak, it's all we have. Like, in my opinion, I know it kind of goes against a lot of what people say or like a lot of common wisdom about it, because most wisdom is like you only have the present. And I guess I just disagree with that. I think you only have the future. You don't really have anything else. You only have like something that can be continued. If something's only in the present, like I don't really see how that's like a very real thing. Now it's like if you have a hamburger, like, you know, live for the moment. Yeah, you eat it. You can live in the present, you can be grounded in the present, but the hamburger's gone. Like, you know what I mean? So I kind of push back on that philosophy, and I think the more accurate truth that we can perceive as we get more advanced is what I just said. It's like you can reminisce and remorse over a lost age, and you can also be upset about the present, but like hope for the future. The future always has hope. The present, you can't hope things in the present. You know what I mean? Like, the present is just what's happening. The past already happened. If the past is good and the present is bad, you might as well just hope for the future or try to invest in the future. It's the only thing worth investing in. And so it's kind of like that transitionary phase where like I want to be buying computers, I want to be buying phones. I want to be doing everything as digital as possible and as modern as possible, because that's my hope for the future. It's my hope that things will get better, right? Because there's no reason, like, I'm not getting anywhere by, like, getting upset about the past, getting upset about the present. I even think enjoying the present is relatively unproductive. I think it's like a simple minded way of um, looking at things. And, many people take that wisdom, but I don't really think it's all that wise. I think, like, again, I think, like, somebody really being intelligent is someone who can really comprehend the future. That's someone who's really got it, you know? I mean, anybody can enjoy the present. But I mean, yeah, to some extent, there's some validity to the moral that, like, there is a skill to being able to, have, like, a peace of mind and properly be able to enjoy the present. But I think the future is very downplayed by humans, like a lot of humans, oh, don't worry about the future. But like a lot of worry about the future is really valid. It's really valid. And if anything, people think about the past too much. And I don't really think humans, they're not good at planning. And that's like a big problem. I think I talk about this all the time. Humans are horrible at planning. They don't really have a concept for the future. And yeah, it's just like always kind of these situations, right? I don't think too much. Wow, actually, we're getting home very quick today. I think it's a combination of just driving relatively fast, and I feel like I remember getting pretty good light luck. So, but yeah, like wow, it seems like I'm gonna get home like super fast. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff, I think so. That was like the first transition, and then it just kept escalating from there. I mean, I used to be someone who never wanted to use AI, was totally against AI. Now I'm like the biggest AI supporter of like anybody I know. There was like so many severe and dramatic changes that happened. So I kind of conclude that like 2025 was a changing year. Like a lot changed. A lot changed for me ideologically that I think will probably remain. I mean, who knows? I could change my mind, could end up turning back on things, but I'm just trying to speak my mind now so it's recorded. If anything changes, we can see the progression. Unfortunately, I don't have my thoughts before May of 2025, but just take my word for it. Like, I don't think they were as interesting. Although, in some ways, like, maybe I am less interesting. I mean, work beats you down, it changes you going through tough things, really, and so I think the fact that I've been fortunate, it helps so much. I mean, I've dealt with annoying things, but I've been very fortunate, and it helps you to really be able to speak right, to really have like an interest and a motivation to do things. I think, if you have bad fortune, it's kind of like hard to really get anywhere. And I mean, I know that firsthand because when I did feel like I had terrible fortune, things were no good. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with how this episode went. I guess I can go. Maybe I'll start tomorrow's episode with more about like the timeline stuff. But anyways, it's been Schla, and now it's time to buy Schla. So, see you, Schla.